Coyle, PEAI President here. I would like to welcome you all to the first ever PEAI virtual call. This initiative has come about because as executive, we looked and discussed at different ways in which we could be of assistance to you, our members, over the course of the next few weeks. We feel that this is the best way to highlight different ideas that we have and that we would like to share with you that might be of benefit to you. Before I get into the topic of which we are going to discuss, I would just like to take this opportunity to highlight different ways in which you can communicate with us. You can send us an email at info@peai.org, or you can contact us on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram accounts. The different topics that we will be addressing today are Sinead Duggan will be talking to you about our recently revamped website resources, and she will take you through the process of how you can access them as a PEAI member. Maeve Kaur will talk to you about how you might run a virtual sports day or how you might keep your students active over the course of the next few weeks. Owen Joy will then share with you some ideas that may be of use to you as you are assessing your students for their summer reports, and this will be for first, second, TY and fifth year students. Stephen Moore will then give you a brief update on how the first phase of Leaving Cert PE and Senior Cycle PE was rolled out over the course of the last 2 years. He will also give you a brief update on how phase 2 will be rolled out with regard to CPD delivery from September 2020. And he will also discuss with you Circular 61/2019 and how that might impact on you as a PE teacher and also your school senior management team, especially with regards to timetable issues. Stephen will also discuss with you a recent initiative that we have started with the Gael Colosty in terms of creating resources as Gaeilge for those schools who are Gael Colosty and who are teaching physical education through the medium of Gaeilge. Brendan Keefe will then talk to you about the third level sector. He will talk to you about PEAT, and he will talk to you about recent relevant research that has been undertaken in the sector of physical education in Ireland over the course of the last year or so. And then I will hopefully conclude this webinar. Before we get into the topics, I would just like to take this opportunity to talk to you about recent projects and initiatives that we have undertaken since we held our October 2019 National Conference in Coláiste Creastrí, Portlaoise. I would like to think that we have been very busy and proactive on your behalf. We have been on the road presenting numerous workshops and roadshows, and that started in November 2019 when we rolled out the Healthy Eating Pack roadshows, which were hosted in 14 different venues across the country. We then followed this up by hosting 6 regional roadshows in March of 2020 on the whole area of digital technology in physical education, which, given the current circumstances, I suppose has been very helpful for teachers. I would like to thank those schools that hosted these events, and we really appreciate all the work that went on behind the scenes to make them such a success. Over 125 teachers attended these workshops, and we really appreciate the effort that people made on Saturday mornings to attend these hopefully beneficial roadshows. We have also supported the PE Expo. We have done so since day one, and this was another successful staging of this event in DCU in early March. This gives an opportunity for students in our schools to undertake independent research in physical education and then present them on a national stage. We would like to take this opportunity to thank Paddy O'Reilly and all his team for the excellent work that they do by hosting this event. And we hope that it will continue to grow from year to year to year. And we will continue to be the main sponsor of this exhibition. On March 12th, the Minister announced that all schools were to close. We then looked at how we could be of assistance to you, our members, with regards to teaching physical education to your students at home. We decided to develop a number of screencasts to help with this process. We looked at how you could use Google Classroom, how you could use Microsoft Teams, and how you could use the Padlet platform to send out resources and activities to your students in this time. Hopefully you found them to be of great benefit to you, and hopefully your students are engaging with all these different platforms. The executive have also begun the planning process for the 2020 Annual National Conference, which will be held in Carlow later on this year. I will speak about this later in the conclusion, but suffice to say, with going to a new venue, it has taken on certain different logistical problems that we have had to address. We've also had to look at the number of different workshops and presenters who might be presenting there. So a lot of work has gone on behind the scenes to get this addressed, and our plans are nearly finalised for the 2020 Annual National PEAI Conference. We have also looked at how we can improve our resource section of our website for our members, and very shortly Sinead Duggan will bring you through this section of the website and show you how you can access them. Once again, we've undertaken a new project with the Gay-Closhy sector. We've also developed this PEAI virtual call, and we've also worked extensively on your behalf behind the scenes with numerous meetings, numerous phone calls, and we would like to thank Daniel Tyndall and John Cray for the excellent work that they did in producing our newsletter a few weeks ago that was released in early March. So I would like to think the PEAI is in a very healthy position. It is very proactive and is working well on your behalf. But we are open to any suggestions that you may have on how we could do things better or any area that needs to be addressed. Here is a picture of the team of executive members and of the student reps that was elected at the AGM back in October 2019. And as you can see, here's a full list of the executive members. You can see their role, and you can see the academic institution that they are based in. So you can see me, Scara Coyle, as president, Stephen Moore as vice president, Brendan O'Keefe as treasurer, Martina Finneran, assistant treasurer, Daniel Tyndall, secretary, Brendan O'Malley, executive member, Owen Joy, executive member, Maeve Core, executive member, Sinead Duggan, executive member, and last but certainly not least, John Cray, executive member. We also have a list of the student reps who work at the third level sector and who assist our student members with different problems and promote the PEAI in those institutions. I would also like to put on record my gratitude to the executive members for all the hard work and effort that they put in to make the PEAI the success that what it is. They are willing to give up so much of their personal free time to ensure that a lot of initiatives are organised and supported for you, our members. And I will talk a bit more about that in my conclusion as well. So without any further ado, I would like to pass on to Sinead Duggan, who will take you through the newly revamped website resources.
Hi all, I'm going to briefly talk through the new resource tab on our website. So over the last few weeks, the executive members have been putting together the most up-to-date and recent resources available for the new junior and senior cycle curriculum. So we all know that there's been lots of changes to the curriculum, and that means that our resources and anything that we're using needs to be updated as well. So we decided to update our resource tab on our website. To gain access to this resource tab, you need to be a member of the PEAI. So if you go onto the PEAI website, you will be able to sign up as a member. So you can do it under the members area, join PEAI now. And there's different costs for different situations, €10 for students, €25 for teachers. And one of the benefits is obviously the resource tab. The second benefit is our conference, a reduced rate. You'll also get up-to-date information, any newsletters, and lots more. So if you're looking for what the benefits of the PEAI membership, there's also a tab for that here. So once you become a member, or if you already are a member and you're looking to get access to the resource tab, you just click into the resource tab and it will ask you to request access. Once you request access, the administrator will check that you're a member and give you access. So if you click on the resource tab, once you get access, it will come up junior cycle and senior cycle. So just have a quick look at the junior cycle. So some schools are still doing the old curriculum, the 2003 curriculum for junior cycle. Some schools have adapted the short course for junior cycle. So we have two folders here. The short course is just the curriculum for short course, and we've made then physical education at junior cycle for both short course and the 2003 model, or the 2003 curriculum, and we've divided the folders into activity areas in PE for both short course and the old 2003 curriculum. The different areas come under HRA: gymnastics, games, dance, athletics, aquatics and adventure. Under each of the tabs, or each of the folders, are different files with different ideas and different resources and different task cards and exercise cards for the different areas. So we have gymnastics, we have games, and again games is divided into 3 types of games. We have dance, athletics, and again athletics is divided. You can see there's some running, there's some throwing, there's some jumping. We have aquatics, and we have adventure. So any resources involving junior cycle would be in this tab. Some of the ideas and games can be used for senior cycle also, but it's mainly aimed for junior cycle, first and third year students. So you go back to the resources again, you come across the senior cycle. So we have 2 senior cycle folders. One is senior cycle PE, so it's aimed at the framework. So from September on, all senior cycle students must be offered PE at senior cycle. So this will be very important for anybody that hasn't been doing it so far, or maybe trying to gain some extra resources or experience or ideas for senior cycle PE. So our senior cycle PE is based in the framework, and it's based on the 6 models. So we have an explanation of the framework, we also have an introduction, maybe how to plan, and we have ideas for the 6 models. We also have an explanation, each of these an explanation of what each of the each of the models are, and each of the ideas and exercises that you can do for these models. We also have Leaving Cert PE. So some of the executive members are teaching Leaving Cert PE at the moment and have put together some of their resources for Strand 1, topic 1 to 4, and Strand 2, topic 5 to 10. So there's lots of PowerPoints, worksheets, exercises, different ideas that you can use. Also the assessment, you have the written exam, some of the sample papers, an explanation, and some tips on the performance assessment, and same with the project, the PAP, the physical activity project. So I hope these are useful for you. I hope you'll get some use out of it. And again, if you are not a member, just join, and if you are a member, go to our website and request access, and you'll be given access in a couple of days. Thank you.
In this section of the presentation, I'm going to talk through how you could set up a virtual sports day for your students, and I'm going to go through some examples of activities that you could use. So there's 2 main options that you could use to set up a virtual sports day. Either set it up as an assignment using Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, depending on what platform your school uses, or you could distribute either a Microsoft form or a Google form to your students. So if you want to set it up like an assignment, we have created tutorial videos previously on how to make assignments using Teams and Google Classroom, and they're available on all of our social media outlets, so you could check those out. but basically you might decide there's 10 challenges you want students to do for your virtual sports day. You could type these up in a Word document and upload them as an assignment. Students could then download the work document, complete the challenges and type in their scores, and then they could upload this and you'd be able to see all the different students' scores. Another way you could set up a virtual sports day is to use Microsoft Forms or Google Forms. So again, if you had 10 challenges you want students to try, you could have those 10 challenges on the form and there would be space for students to fill in their scores, or they could video themselves doing the skills and upload those, and you'd be able to see all of their scores that way. To distribute the forms then, you could always send the link to students either through Teams or through Google Classroom, or you could send it out across your school's social media platforms. So I'm just going to briefly go through how you can make these forms on Microsoft Forms or Google Forms. So this first example here is Microsoft Forms. So you just click to add a new question, and you can see you can choose a file upload question. So this means the students will upload a file for this. And you can also add in pictures and videos as well for the students to see. So if you wanted them to see an example of what the activity is, so I've pasted in a video here from YouTube, so the students can see exactly what they have to do, and then they can upload their file using the upload file button. So that's how you could do it on Microsoft Forms. And then on Google Forms, it's very similar as well. So when you're adding the question, you can again choose a file upload question. So students would have to upload a video of themselves performing the skill. Of course, you don't have to get them to record themselves doing every single skill, but it is just an option if you wanted to see proof of what they did. Otherwise, you could just set up the form using regular questions and get them to type in the results that they got. One benefit of using forms is that all the responses will be pooled together here in one place, so it will be really handy for you to see all the different results. Now I'm just going to go through some example activities that you could do in a virtual sports day. So I suppose the things to bear in mind are that you choose activities where there's very little safety considerations, so things that are easy for the students to do, things they need minimal equipment for, and minimal space just in case they don't have a lot of room at home. So some no equipment activities would be things like push-ups, sit-ups, star jumps. So you could set a time limit of maybe 30 seconds or a minute and get them to record how many of these activities they can do in that time. Or for older students, if you wanted to get them to do a circuit, you could pick maybe 5 of those activities and say they have to do 10 reps of each activity for 5 minutes, and they have to count and see how many rounds of the circuit they can do. Then some activities with equipment, so things to test their coordination, like the 30-second alternate wall toss challenge, keepy uppies, so you'd need a football for that, you'd need 2 tennis balls for the coordination challenge, target kicking, so you could get the students to be creative here and try get them to decide what their target is going to be and see how many times they could hit the target in a minute. Ball waddle, which this is a fun one, so they just need a ball and their kitchen table, and basically they put the ball in between their legs and they have to time themselves and see how fast they can run around the table 4 or 5 times with the ball in between their legs. Or you could do things like a bucket throw from 4 meters, so again set a time limit and see how many times they can throw something into the bucket in that time. Then you could also do some creative activities, so get them to make up a TikTok dance, create an obstacle course using what they have at home, reenact their favourite sporting moment, or you could do a teacher challenge. So with your PE department, you could decide on something that you're going to do, record yourselves, and then see can the students beat you. And then this is the question that came in on this topic, so what kind of activities would you recommend that are suitable to do at home? I very briefly just covered that in the previous slide, but I will be uploading a supporting Word document with just some more ideas on what you could do. I think the important things to remember is that it's easy for the students to do, and I think a combination of these 3 kind of activities would be good. So if you picked 2 or 3 activities from each of these to make up your virtual sports day, so that there's some serious activities but some fun activities for students as well.
Hi everyone, this is Owen Joy from the PEAI Executive. With just over 3 weeks left to go in term, we have decided to explore assessment reporting ideas for non-exam physical education students. Over the past week, many physical education teachers have reached out to us on our social media platforms informing us of their plans for physical education, assessment and reporting for this year's summer assessments. Other teachers have asked us for some guidance on the topic. This short video will give you some ideas on how you might create a report on this year's summer assessments in physical education. We will now explore the following 5 assessment and reporting ideas. Number 1, a teacher comment or grade on learning in physical education classes to date this year. Number 2, an electronic portfolio submission. Number 3, classroom-based assessment descriptors or descriptors of physical education assessments. Number 4, continuous assessment over the remaining few weeks. And number 5 is another couple of ideas such as Padlet engagement, physical activity diaries, and Google Forms multiple choice assessments. Okay, so first up we are looking at the potential of using a teacher comment or a grade on learning that has taken place in physical education classes to date this year. This seems to be a very popular method that is currently being used amongst a lot of physical education teachers. We got many messages through on social media to say that this is what teachers have used in the past and that they have enough evidence to continue to use it this year. So many teachers have suggested that they will use a comment or a grading system that their department has used in previous years to assess students' engagement and learning in PE classes to date, either over the course of the entire year or since Christmas. Many teachers pointed out that they had been gathering evidence of student learning throughout the year and had planned to use this for their summer assessments anyway, so that they're very well set up to use this for their assessment and reporting at summer. A second suggestion which was very popular again amongst PE teachers and is one which I particularly like is the idea of using an electronic portfolio submission for this year's assessment and reporting for physical education. So first of all, just to explain what an electronic portfolio is, it can be regarded as a digital collection which is created by a student and submitted electronically to the teacher. So during our current circumstances, this might work very well. Many PE teachers are engaging with their students through platforms such as Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. And here the teacher can put out the requirements for the electronic portfolio submission, and the students can collate their information and send through using one of these platforms. The following are some ideas of what teachers might ask students to include or to gather over the coming weeks. So it could be them engaging in physical activity engagement videos. It could be completions of physical activity diaries. It could be reflections on daily, weekly physical activity engagement, pictures or videos showcasing the preparation of a healthy meal, physical activity, short and medium term goal setting. It could be skill and technique execution videos and progressions from the students. And it could be something like a research report on an athlete, sport, or sporting documentary. So the teacher might set out a number of these to be completed over the coming weeks. And again, it's important to differentiate it based on the age of the students. So for example, for maybe your 5th year students, you might ask for more compared to what you might ask from a 1st year student. Okay, so thirdly, we are going to look at the potential to use descriptors. So whether they are classroom-based assessment descriptors or other assessment descriptors that teachers use. Many teachers who reached out to us said that they have potential classroom-based assessments complete, or they have other types of assessments complete whereby they have descriptors of where they feel their students were positioned, and that they will use these to report on summer assessments. So similar to the e-portfolio idea is suggestion number 4, which is continuous assessment over the remaining few weeks. So here teachers might set potentially 3 assessment tasks over the final 3 weeks for students. Students can submit these tasks electronically by a deadline each week. The teacher might provide a marking rubric for the assessments, and the results from these assessments could count for all or some of the percentage towards the summer assessment. Again, this has been quite a popular suggestion that many teachers are currently implementing with their students, and it could be something that you might consider using if you haven't decided upon your reporting and assessment ideas just yet. And finally, guys, for number 5, we just have a host of other ideas that you might consider. A couple of weeks back, we put out a video on Padlet and how to create a Padlet. So you might be able to track students' engagement with Padlet and get to set them assignments from Padlet. As mentioned earlier, students could send through physical activity diaries. You could actually use something like Google Forms to create a multiple choice assessment based on stuff from your Padlet, or maybe based on information you have given your students. Students could do self-assessments of skill executions, send you through the video of their skill and maybe a self-assessment sheet on that. They could do something like conducting a needs analysis of a sport, an essay on that. And finally, another nice idea might be something like where students develop a presentation and screencast of a PE related topic for you. So for example, they might do that presentation on the use of performance enhancing drugs in sport. So that completes this section. I hope you have gathered some ideas for that, and I hope that you have a nice, enjoyable final couple of weeks of this term.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Moore and I'm the current Vice President of the PEI. I'm going to take you through topic 4 and I'm going to briefly speak on Leaving Cert PE Phase 1, a review and update, Senior Cycle PE, a Phase 1 review and update, Circular 0061-2019, which was released in October 2019, agus some chun leir le múnsir tag múna corpajaachas trí van na Gaeilge freisin. So that's the plan. Now, Phase 1 of Leaving Cert Physical Education. So for those of you who don't know, 64 schools were part of Phase 1 of the introduction of Leaving Cert Physical Education. And one teacher per school from each of those 64 schools attended 14 days of CPD, as well as 7 evening PLC meetings with the PDST. The final day took place just 2 weeks ago, and so far those schools have submitted their physical activity project, which is 20%, which was submitted in December 2019. But due to COVID-19, the performance assessment is yet to be submitted yet, and there were 2 weeks remaining in that before COVID-19 arrived. And a final date, or the exact date for the first LCPE exam, which is 50%, is yet to be confirmed. So we're keeping a close eye on the Department of Education and State Examinations Commission websites, which will hopefully confirm those details for us soon. In October 2019, every school and principal in the country was contacted and asked to fill in an expression of interest form if their school wanted to avail of CPD for Phase 2. So in total, 235 schools replied to that, with their CPD for Phase 2 beginning in September 2020. And each school was allowed to register 2 teachers for this Phase 2, and they will receive 8 days CPD. For Senior Cycle Physical Education, which was also introduced at the same time as Leaving Cert Physical Education, there were 40 schools part of this first phase. 1 teacher per school was nominated to attend the CPD, and these teachers received 7 days CPD and attended 4 evening meetings as part of Phase 1. And that final day, day 7, was completed in February 2020. From September 2020, every school in the country must now align their senior cycle PE programs, so 4th, 5th and 6th year, with the new SCPE framework. And I'll speak a bit more about that in the next slide. The inspectorate will begin examining this on their school visits, whole school and drive-bys and so on from this September. As with the Leaving Cert Physical Education, every school in the country was contacted in October 2019 with an expression of interest form and asked if they would like to register any of their PE teachers for CPD. 153 schools replied, and they'll make up Phase 2, and they will also begin their CPD with the PDST in September, with 1 teacher per school attending in this phase, and they will receive 4 days. Now, Circular 0061-2019 was released by the department in October of 2019, and it had far and does have far-reaching implications for our subject. As of September 2020, the SCPE framework will replace all existing guidelines set out in the rules and regulations for secondary schools. And essentially what the circular outlines is that all students in 4th, 5th and 6th year and senior cycle must be provided with the opportunity to study physical education at some capacity at senior cycle. So they can study this through Leaving Cert PE or through senior cycle PE or through both, but they must be provided with the opportunity. So in essence, every student will be studying PE from now on at senior cycle. So this is hugely welcome from the PE here, us here at the PEI, and we would advise all PE teachers and departments to familiarise themselves with the circular and to speak with their principals and senior management regarding its implications. As we all know, principals and school leaders are beginning to plan and make timetables for next year. So please do bring that to the attention of your principals and discuss it with your PE departments. Anish Moonthroy Tag Moona Kurpajak Sri Van Niguelga, Tataida Arshula Gun Fila Hora, Tamaji Valu Olis, Fui Maid, Dini Tag Moona Sri Van Niguelga, August Na Akfani, August Rudi Brescia, Atar Fall, August Ta Web Estoka, Satauki. So very much on week, Ma Comage just Cooper Nomade, Air Steve, August Malin Shivishak on survey. Ni Hogan Share Cooper Nomade, Captain Deck Hesh Down, Akaroshe Gamorlin, August Magic Panel, Satauki. Bawatlin, Ibru Lacog, Amakan Show, Kun Caro Live, August, the Shin Mark Countana, Pre Factus Atar Shul Agan Ella and Ahora. Now on to the final part of my piece, which is the questions which came in from our members in relation to Leaving Cert PE and Senior Cycle PE. Question 1 asked, do colleges and universities accept Leaving Cert PE as a science subject? Our advice here, and advice from all stakeholders around the Leaving Cert PE table at the moment, is for students to contact the university and indeed the individual department to which they are applying to clarify this. At the moment, it's very much a department and university or third level decision. So our advice is for students to contact that department or university directly themselves. Question 2, are there any LCPE sample papers available? The answer is yes, and our advice would be to go to the SEC website and you'll find one sample released by the State Examinations Commission in October 2019. And that is the best example to draw upon for the moment until we have more, which after each Leaving Cert year. So that's where you can find that. Question 3, is there any CPD for PE teachers for, I presume that's 2020, 2021, by the PEI, PDST, JCT, etc.? The answer is yes. As of speaking, the PEI will of course have our annual conference this October, the booking of which will open in September, and we'll also have other forms of CPD in September in 2021, similar to our roadshows. The PDST, as mentioned, is phase 2 CPD for both LCPE and SCPE schools involved in that, but also the PDST will have 3 evening workshops, 1 per term, supporting PE teachers. JCT have another day 5 on junior cycle PE, which will be for which will come in the year 2021, as well as those studying a second subject. So there'll be catch-up ones for those who missed PE when they attend their second subject. So there's going to be great CPD events and supports for our teachers in beginning from next September. Question 4, will all students across the country have the opportunity to study LCPE from September 2020? So it's an individual school decision. If your school wants to offer LCPE from September 2020, then the answer is yes, they can. So similar to any other subject, the phase 1 is now complete. So the subject is open to all schools. And finally, question 5, what is the order of priority for LCPE equipment when budgeting? Very good question. Our advice here in the PEI would be liaise and linking with the phase 1 teachers to get their opinion and their advice. What we have heard back is that, also for priority, given that 50% of LCP is submitted digitally through the 2 projects, the PAP and performance assessment, ICT equipment and having good ICT equipment would be a priority for schools introducing the subject. So linking in with your principal and your IT department, and making sure you purchase the platform and the equipment that suits your school best. Obviously things like good Wi-Fi, very important as well, and Wi-Fi in the sports hall, but also access to perhaps a good computer room, particularly for the PAP, our teachers did in phase 1 did find very, very useful. So thanks very much for your time, guys. My final slide, just want to draw your attention to our PEI clothing shop, which is open and functioning as normal at the moment, and you can access that through our website, www.pei.org.
Hi everyone, Brendan O'Keefe here from the PEAI. In this section of the presentation, I will discuss examples of ongoing research related to PE in each of the 3 PEAI institutes in Ireland, some opportunities for research funding for teachers and pre-service teachers interested in pursuing future research will be outlined, and I will finish by giving examples of podcasts that are relevant to PE and members might be interested in. So to begin, we have selected 3 research projects that are ongoing or complete in the PEAI institutes in Ireland. So firstly, I'm sure many of you will have heard of the SCPE study, which is a national review of children's participation in sport and physical activity and physical education in Ireland. The lead author is Professor Catherine Woods from the University of Limerick, and in 2018, the second SCPE report was published outlining the latest evidence regarding participation rates in PE, physical activity and sport in Ireland. So for example, the report revealed that 18% of primary students received no more than 30 minutes of PE per week, and only 23% of post-primary students received the minimum recommended time allocation for PE per week. The full report and some very useful infographics are available on the Sport Ireland website at the link below, and this again could be of particular relevance to some topics, particularly in strand 2 of LCPE. So the Youth Physical Activity Towards Health programme developed by researchers in DCU was designed specifically for students in junior cycle. Again, I'm sure many of you will be aware of this excellent programme, for which workshops have been rolled out throughout Ireland over the past 12 months. And this CPD is delivered in collaboration with the Irish Heart Foundation through local education centres. PE teachers receive an excellent interactive resource pack in hard copy and e-resources with easy to follow lesson plans that provide simple steps for PE lessons with a focus on health-related activity and FMS. And examples of integrating well-being indicators are also provided in the resource packs. So for more information on this excellent programme, check out the Irish Heart Foundation website at the link below. Finally, Project FLAME, an acronym for Fundamental and Functional Literacy for Activity and Movement Efficiency, is an ongoing research project in UCC. This project was developed based on the alarmingly poor FMS among Irish adolescents reported by O'Brien and colleagues in 2016. So this is a multi-component whole school approach to improving motor competence at junior cycle. 4 major components include physical education, a teacher component, a kinesthetic classroom component, a student component, and a digital literacy component. So for example, the PE component includes 15 to 20 minutes of PE time designated for Project FLAME activities, and these are focused on developing fundamental movement skills and functional movement. And the kinesthetic classroom movement breaks are short videos of 3 minutes durations designed for all teachers in the school to encourage movement in the classroom setting across the curriculum. So Dermot Lester, who is a PhD candidate responsible for developing and administering the project, will defend his thesis in the next couple of weeks, so we wish him all the best with that. And for more information on the project, contact the former PEAI Executive member and current director of the Bachelor of Science PE programme in UCC, Dr. Wesley O'Brien. So if you are a pre-service or practicing PE teacher and keen to pursue further research in a third level institute in Ireland, check out the Teaching Council's website for a comprehensive list of the funding opportunities available, including the NCCA, Irish Research Council, Science Foundation Ireland, and an annual call from the Teaching Council itself. So in addition, many third level institutes offer department or faculty level specific funding calls, and details of which should be available on the Institute's department webpage. Finally, having consulted some current PEAT lecturers, most recommended to contact the lecturer or researcher in your research area of interest directly if you're interested in pursuing future research. So finally, I know many of our members are listening to some excellent podcasts that are of relevance to PE. So I've selected two that may be of interest to you. Firstly, Playing with Research in Health and Physical Education focuses on the latest research developments in physical education. Our Vice President, Stephen Moore, was recently interviewed for an episode of this podcast focusing on the post-primary PE curriculum in Ireland. And this will be released on the 12th of May. Another podcast which I have found to be useful is the Real Science of Sport podcast hosted by Professor Ross Tucker. And this podcast contains some excellent material that may be of relevance, again, specifically for students studying LCPE. So members' questions on this topic were mainly based on funding opportunities. For example, what opportunities are there for research funding for full-time teachers? And in addition, I am a pre-service teacher and I'm interested in doing further research. Where can I apply for funding? So I hope the earlier segment of this section provided some clarity on this for you. Again, I would recommend viewing the Teaching Council's website and contacting a researcher with expertise in your area of interest for advice. So that completes this section of the presentation. I hope you found it useful and want to wish you all the best for the remainder of the school year.
PEAI present here, and I just want to bring this virtual call to a conclusion. I hope that you've got some benefit out of the last 20 minutes or so, and that you've picked up some useful tips that you can hopefully try and implement over the course of the next couple of weeks before the end of the school year. By doing inclusion, I would like to thank various groups of people for the work that they've done in relation to physical education in Ireland over the course of the last 12 months or so. I'd like to begin with the executive members of the PEAI, and I would like to reiterate what I said at the start of the presentation. I want to thank these group of people for their dedication and their hard work, not only in the time that was spent in the last few days putting this virtual call together, but all the work that they've done since October 2019. I would like to feel that we've been very proactive as an organisation, that we've presented a lot of roadshows, that those people who attended have got a lot of benefit from it. There's a lot of expertise and experience around the board of the PEAI, and I'm very grateful and very lucky that these people are so willing to give up so much of their free time to drive the PEAI on and to help you out as members. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the JCTP team for their PE CPD provision at junior second level over the course of the last 12 months. This starts with past president of the PEAI, Mike Carey, the associate advisors and their team of associates who have been out on the road and who have presented on this topic the length and breadth of the country. They did a webinar on March 31st, and they're doing another one on the 7th of May. And if you didn't see these webinars, if you go back onto their website and find the links, I would feel this would be a worthwhile exercise and you would benefit from seeing it. I would like to thank the PhD post-primary PE team for their CPD provision across all the sectors of secondary level, be that at Leaving Cert PE, at Senior Cycle PE, and at Junior Cycle level. Once again, the team of advisors, which include past presidents Fergal Lyons and Brendan O'Malley, and current Vice President Stephen Moore, for their professionalism that they've showed throughout the course of the year, and the help that they have given, in particular, the 64 Leaving Cert PE teachers and the teachers who were involved in the phase 1 of Senior Cycle PE. I would also like to thank all the associates who are involved in the PhD for the time that they've given up in the evenings to present numerous workshops around the country. I would like to put on record my sincere thanks for those schools that decided to be involved in both the rollout of Leaving Cert PE and Senior Cycle PE in the phase 1. I suppose in particular for the Leaving Certificate Physical Education, schools and teachers and students, it was maybe a bit of a gamble, and it's probably proved to be an eye-opening experience. But I feel there's been valuable lessons learned with regards to this whole process. And I know they're definitely better teachers as a result of going through this process and learning from what was involved. It truly is an exciting time for physical education in Ireland, especially in a short period of time when you look at where we've come over the last number of years. Where at junior cycle level, we obviously have the show course, we have junior cycle PE from 2003, and now we have Leaving Cert PE for the first time ever as an example option, and we have Senior Cycle PE, which will be mandatory from September 2020. It's a great place to be at, and really exciting times. I also would like to thank the students who chose to sit Leaving Cert PE for the first time ever. I do want to wish them all the best for their exams during the summer, and I hope that they reach their full potential. And the final group of people I would like to thank are you, our members. Without you, we certainly don't exist as an organisation. You guys vote with your feet, you attend our workshops, you come to our conference. We really appreciate your engagement with us, your contact with us, your suggestions, your queries, and I would like to think that we act on behalf as best as we can do. I would just like to take this opportunity to highlight again about our National Annual PEAI Conference, which will be held on the 9th and 10th of October. Hopefully all things going according to plan. Where we will be based will be on the Friday night in the Talbot Hotel, where we will have our AGM as usual. We also have a special guest who will be in attendance, who will do a presentation and a question and answer session afterwards. And we will also present the annual Michael Darmody Award. Then on the Saturday, we'll be based in Carlow IT for the whole day. We will have a range of workshops. We'll have 30 workshops on, a menu of that amount, covering Leaving Cert PE, Senior Cycle PE and Junior Cycle PE. So there should be something for everyone to engage with and to look at. We would really like to see as many people as possible in attendance. And going in the last number of years, we've had over 225 people attend a conference every year, and we find it to be of a lot of benefit for so many people. So we would like to see you all there. Once again, I want to thank you for the time you spent to look at this webinar. I hope you have really enjoyed it and got benefit from it. Once again, just to highlight again on the bottom of the screen there, you can see the different means and methods of contacting the PEI, our email address, our Facebook address, our Twitter account, and our Instagram account. Don't hesitate at all to contact us at any stage, and we will try to get back to you as quickly as we can do. And finally, I just want to take this opportunity to wish you all the best for the next few weeks. It's going to be a busy and hectic time in schools, but I hope that you and all your family members stay safe and will be refreshed and hopefully ready for a return to school in September 2020.